It's 2025, a new year, and the perfect time to turn your business dreams into reality. Maybe you've been tossing around a great idea, but haven't acted yet. Well, Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and make your first sale. With thousands of customizable templates, you don't need coding or design skills. Just drag, drop, and go. Plus, Shopify's social media tools help you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts so you can sell everywhere your customers scroll. Managing your business is easy too. From shipping to taxes to payments, Shopify handles the details on a single dashboard, letting you focus on what really matters: growing your business. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it.
Well, hello. Hi. Welcome to Sackheads Radio and another edition here Friday night.
You know
what was that? Did you time warp? Because all of a sudden the music was playing and we were ready to go and you hit a button and I got really dizzy and the entire room started to spin and like another dimension opened up and we all still had our liberty and government was really small and then I got sucked back through the abyss and we ended up on air.
Well, you know, it's pretty telling that our sound engineer is not here for the evening when I can't figure out how to start the show.
Okay, no, I don't buy that because you have started the show successfully for 11 months before Sacco came to be.
Yeah, but now that we're advanced and it's not just two monkeys and a microphone, so to speak.
No, it's two monkeys and two microphones. And
now we have a soundboard and stuff like that, and I am totally clueless, so he can't miss any more shows at all.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I know you know how to work this equipaje, that for our bilingual folks out there, because I've seen you do it several times. So I don't understand what the glitch was.
I don't even know what you just said. What'd you say?
Listen, that was done on purpose. That was a moment for our listeners to reflect upon the events of the week before we got going. So now that everybody's had an opportunity to reflect, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I was doing great until that happened, but now...
Well, what happened? It was a moment of reflection. We talked about this in pre-production.
That's what was great. I love a moment of reflection.
Exactly.
No, I'm doing really good. I recently invested all my money into the Cyprus Bank, so I feel like it's going to be safe, and I should be receiving pretty big dividends recently, so that's cool.
Absolutely. Now, are you going to pay off your portion of the debt?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think that there should be something passed where if an American just writes a check for whatever the individual portion of the national debt is, what is $100-something thousand per American?
Is that all?
Yeah, maybe $1 billion. I don't know. But then I think that you should never have to pay taxes ever again.
I think you're fine. Yeah. I think that's great because you know what that does? That really pushes people to, A, want to help, and B, if I had the money and if you told me I could write a check and never have to pay a tax again, I probably would do it just to be done with the IRS, just so I never would have to deal with them again.
Or how about this? How about if the amount of taxes you pay in your lifetime for us middle-class folks, right, because we can't write a check that big, that once you hit that figure...
You can't.
Once you hit that figure, then you're done paying taxes.
I think that's great.
Is the income tax, was it even legally passed and enacted, the income tax amendment? Have you seen that there's a whole kick-up about...
Yeah, whether or not it's actually legal or not.
Right, and nobody will touch it, of course.
No, why would they touch that?
Why would the courts touch that?
No, because they're just going to keep kicking around and saying, oh, this isn't really... it doesn't really fit because we need it, and, you know, that's what pays me. So I'm not going to kick that down because that would be crazy.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy. Hey, tonight's phone number is 347-205-9399. Is
that the same phone number it always is?
Same number.
Then why do you say it's tonight's phone number? Why don't you just say the show phone number?
The number for the show.
Okay.
347-205-9399.
Thank you.
Is that better?
That is. And I want to note something. I noticed you're wearing your Boston Red Sox hat.
I am.
And you regularly wear your Boston Red Sox hat.
I do.
I had to go big tonight.
You did. So, as always, I had to walk in, figuring out, strutting through, had my Red Sox hat on.
Right.
You've been kind of dead in the water as far as baseball's gone. You've been pretty depressed since the end of football season.
I have. Thanks for bringing that up.
And then all of a sudden there's a billboard walking around for the Oakland Athletics, which I thought was classy.
Thank you.
So I'm going to bring my Red Sox flag in next week, and it should cover pretty much the whole left side of our studio.
Okay.
I believe I called that a one-up.
Well, that's why I brought the jacket in. So, of course, until you bring your Garrison flag of the Boston Red Sox in here, I'm going to have to petition Mr. Bean directly for a huge Oakland Athletics banner that will actually wrap our building that we're in.
So that's not, I've seen those building wraps, and they're pretty good. I don't know why you'd waste the money on that one, but it's good advertisement, so that's kind of cool. Hey, we talked about something this week, and it's going to be something that we're going to be starting probably the end of April on the show here. We always talk about the veterans and the military personnel that defend our freedom that we talk about all the time. So one of the things we're going to roll out at the end of April here on the show is we're going to donate some of our time each week to give veterans a chance to say hi to their friends and family from overseas, or even if they're at home, that's fine if they're away from their friends and family. We're working out the basics, but essentially they'll be able to call our 800 number.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/getstarted for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Leave a message, 30 to 45 seconds or so. I won't be that strict. And we'll get a block of them together each week and start playing them on the show.
Well, I'm going to start.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start, and I want to thank a friend, Stephen in Okinawa, Japan.
Yes.
I want to thank him for his service.
Yep. United States Marine Corps.
Yep. I don't want to give a last name.
No, I understand.
It's pretty generic. But Stephen, thank you very much for listening to the show. Got your tweet. Appreciate your service, brother. God bless. And
getting a swag bag out to him. Also getting a swag bag out to Sackheads Woody, who called me and begged for one. because he saw all the stuff on one of our Twitter pictures, and he said, I've been with you guys since the beginning. Can I please?
What do you mean he's been with us since the beginning? Woody.
You remember he was one of the first people to call and harass us. I believe he was sick that night.
No, he was drunk.
So, we're definitely going to get some stuff out to them. So other than that, I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm okay. Kind of interesting week. We have a few things to talk about tonight. One of them is apparently President Obama was flying to the Middle East and got lost. Ended up landing in Israel.
Accidentally,
probably, I would guess, to ask directions. Ended up talking with Benjamin Netanyahu. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Do you think it was deliberate, or do you think he did in fact get lost?
I think it's
been 5 years, so I have to go with he got lost.
I think he was running low on gas.
Okay.
I do that too. I have certain gas stations I like to buy from for whatever reasons.
Right.
However, if the light's on and you're down that last few miles, you can't take that risk.
Right. How'd that conversation go from the pilot of Air Force One? Mr. President?
Bing!
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know we're not supposed to go to Israel, but we're running low on fuel, and there's no tanker available, so yeah. It's been nice flying Air Force One, and I appreciate everyone and their support in this time. Thank you very much from the cockpit.
The president was like, can't we make Iran?
Does Palestine have a landing strip?
Yeah, can we just land there? Anywhere but Israel.
This thing can glide, right?
What's Putin doing? Get him on the horse. Oh, he's riding a horse? Naked, huh? Okay.
Hey, I saw the movie Air Force One. Can't you transfer me to another plane?
Really? A Cessna? Okay, I guess this Cessna is now Air Force One.
Yeah, whatever, it'll work. No, so he apparently...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Did he get lost?
I can't confirm that he got lost.
Our belief is that perhaps...
Our belief is that he may...
The evidence is pretty strong that he didn't want to go there. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. I want to start off with something. I was really disturbed by a particular story that I saw this week, and it's this doctor in Philadelphia, Dr. Kermit Kisizaba. I'm not even going to say his name right because I have absolutely zero respect for this guy. He was a abortion doctor, and he had a abortion clinic in Philadelphia. He's been an abortion provider for numerous years. He averaged about 1,000 abortions a year, and he's been charged with killing 7 babies who aborted them post-birth, and also a mother who ended up dying during one of his procedures. And some disturbing testimony that came out, especially I've read this article from the Huffington Post, of all places. But
and your computer didn't blow up?
No, it did. It took me a long time to kind of get to this site. Yeah, we've talked. We read both sides.
Everything we can.
The Huffington Post actually wrote a pretty fair article, I believe, on this case. I mean, nobody with what this guy's charged with, right or left.
It doesn't matter.
Most people are not okay with this. I don't believe, whether you're pro-abortion or pro-life. But one of his medical assistants testified on Tuesdays and said that she's personally snipped the spines of at least 10 babies during these abortions. And one of the people that was testifying, Moton, if I'm pronouncing that name right, if not, I don't care because she's a disgusting individual in my opinion also, took an actual cell phone photograph of one of the babies that was left in her area after a 2008 abortion. And she estimated the baby to be approximately 30 weeks old, and said that she believed this baby could have survived given his size and pinkish color. This doctor apparently joked later that baby was so big that the baby could have walked to the bus stop.
Oh my goodness!
This guy is just
he's a monster.
He's a piece of garbage, in my opinion. Now his defense attorney, who's the even biggest piece of garbage. Now here's the thing: I am not a huge fan of defense attorneys, and I have not been since I saw a documentary on contemporary defense attorneys. Called the name of the documentary was I was with Keanu Reeves, The Devil's Advocate. And what? Have you seen
I don't know if that was a documentary.
No, I think it was. But it was a documentary on contemporary defense attorneys, and so I think this guy's certainly potentially the spawn of Satan, like most of them are. And what?
What kind of monster
would defend a guy like this?
What kind of monster would? Well, let's talk about the doctor for a second.
Well, hang on a second. I want to tell you what this defense attorney said.
Okay.
Because this will get you even.
Oh, good. That's why he needs to be more aggravated right now. Thanks.
Yeah, this is a quote. Jack McMahon is the defense attorney, the Satan spawn
for this doctor.
Part 2, right? And he says, quote, "This is a targeted, elitist, and racist prosecution of a doctor who's done nothing but give to the poor and the people of West Philadelphia. It's a prosecutorial lynching of Dr. Kermit Gosnell." So,
let me get this straight. There's this Dr. Gosnell, and I say doctor.
No, he is a doctor, for now.
For now. Who essentially was murdering almost full-term children after the fact.
That's the allegation.
Well, right. Also, one of the adult patients involved also passed away.
Correct. As a direct result.
Of his actions. Mm-hmm. The medical assistant, in lieu of prosecution herself, which I think she still got prosecuted to a point,
most
but testified.
Most of the staff got third degree murder.
Okay.
And they're serving 20 to 40 year sentences, and they're testifying against him. He's being charged with first degree murder.
So you have all these folks that are testifying against him. He's being charged with first-degree murder, and his dickhead attorney is going to dare come out and say that this is racist,
mm-hmm.
and that is elitist, and it's driven to...
It's a lynching.
It's a lynching against this hero of the people who are he's doing nothing but trying to help these people.
Right.
And that's his statement on this. Not... like most defense attorneys who had half a brain say, hey, you know what, maybe my guy was mentally ill.
You just said right there, most defense attorneys that have half a brain. I don't believe that's the case.
Right.
Like I said, that documentary was pretty clear about where they come from.
You know, this is just disgusting to me. That
Which part?
All of it,
okay.
Including the defense attorney.
Yeah.
I understand that somebody has to defend this guy. Whether or not, look, I think he's guilty or not guilty. He has that right. Somebody has to do it. It is the job of an attorney to be his defense attorney.
And I will agree with you. Listen, everybody has the right to a vigorous defense. It's they have the constitutional right to legal defense. However, the problem I have with contemporary defense attorneys is the focus seems to be, in a lot of cases, it goes away from relevant facts,
yes,
and relevant law, and it goes into this realm of mudslinging.
Yeah. Well, all this is a smokescreen.
Yeah, mudslinging against society, mudslinging against the prosecutors, mudslinging against witnesses or victims or peace officers. They sling. They get away from facts or from the hey, you know, did the police act improperly?
It becomes politics
by doing this or this. Yeah, it's from blaming the victim of sex assault cases in some cases. And look, I jest obviously when I say that all defense attorneys are the sponsors.
No, but he's making this guy into a hero.
He's making this guy into a hero, but that's not uncommon of a tactic for defense attorneys. In this particular case, I find it especially disgusting because of the heinous crimes that this individual is charged with.
It's disgusting.
And from what it sounds like, the prosecutors have this cell phone photograph of this one baby, which is the sixth one they're charging, but they actually have the body of the seventh.
30 weeks.
Is what it was estimated to be, yeah.
And it had a pinkish hue.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't even imagine. I can't imagine the mindset. Listen, we can have the abortion, whether it should or shouldn't exist, an argument one day or another.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about that. This is, here is this child, and I believe that is a child.
Absolutely.
Who was just short of being birthed into this world, that this monster of a person, and his staff, you know what, his staff are monsters too. I don't care if they testified or not.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to, like in the military, if the order is not lawful, you can refuse to follow it. It's the same thing. You didn't have to be part of that operation. The first one you walked in on, I don't care what job you needed, and I know I have my moral compass, and there are very few things that I would do to step off my moral compass. There is certainly, it's not about money. Money could never do it. If he was like, hey, you're going to get fired if you don't do this, I said, fine, you fire me. I'm going to the police department right now, or I'm going to the DA's office. There are just certain. So the fact that these idiots, nurses, medical assistants, whatever, were involved in this, and nobody said boo until it was too late. Good. They're monsters too.
Until the feds were there looking at him for why he was prescribing going through so many pains.
And I'll tell you, and I'll get heat for this. You know who else should be charged?
The mothers.
Yeah.
Damn right. You don't.
Either parent, if the husband's involved or the boyfriend or whatever, the baby's father, biological father, them too.
Yeah. You mean to tell me you didn't know how far along you were? You didn't know that you were about to give birth to a baby? You didn't, I
absolutely would push for that. So there's that disgusting, absolute. You know what? I would love to have 5 minutes alone in a room with that guy.
You know what? I want to propose something, and I think this should be listen, I want to propose something.
Okay.
I want to propose a sackhead law.
Sackhead law.
That's right. Of the sackhead code, this would be number 1. And I think
sackhead law, sackhead code, number 1, SH1.
I think that this should be the laws have to pass by a 2-to-1 majority. And since Sacco's not here and he can't vote, if we tie, he'll have to be a tiebreaker on it. But I believe we discussed on the show, everybody has a right. Your liberty extends as far as until you
infringe on somebody else.
Infringe upon the liberty of someone else.
Yes.
In a case of murder, where an individual has been found guilty by a jury of his or her peers, and
capital punishment applies.
Capital punishment applies.
Okay.
I believe that the mechanism of carrying out the death sentence should be the same that the perpetrator subjected the victim to. So in the case of this guy, I think that his spinal cord should be cut or severed if he does get the death penalty, if he is found guilty of these crimes. I believe it should be carried out in a manner consistent with how he killed and murdered the babies. And that's true of any murderer. And I believe, people say, oh, cruel and unusual punishment, but is it really? Because, again, your liberty only extends until you infringe upon the liberty of others. And he infringed upon the liberty of these babies that he killed upon birth, allegedly. And I believe that's where his liberty ends. What do you think?
So, well, I'll support you, Bill, and I think we should put it to the floor for a vote.
Okay, so submitted, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
None opposed.
I think it passed.
Signifies the passing of SH1, the sackhead law, that those found guilty of murder, where the capital punishment applies, shall be put to death in the manner that their victims died.
I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel better about that. I feel better about that now.
We have closure.
We have closure. I was going to feel awful about that story if we didn't have some sort of closure.
I still feel awful about it.
Well, yeah, of course I feel awful. It's disgusting. As is anything, anytime somebody willingly takes the life of another that for no reason, and that's no reason. Cold blood. It's disgusting to me. I understand. Believe me. First, self-defense. First one, defending somebody else. Absolutely. I say go for it. However, especially with kids, man, and I know I'm not the only. I know there are millions of people on both sides of the aisle that agree with me. When it comes to kids, I think it should be automatic capital punishment. I really do. I think when it comes to children, and I mean 18 and under.
Yeah. What's with that story out of Georgia? Those two, that 17-year-old and the 14-year-old. The 17-year-old shot the baby, the infant, in a stroller.
Another one.
They were trying to rob their mother.
And this is another time where I'm glad I'm not those police officers, because I don't know if I would have restraint. If they were like, hey, you know what? We ID'd him, positive ID, blah, 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 go get him. And I was on the arrest team. I don't know if I'd have that restraint. That's hard, It's an awful, heinous crime. shot the child in the face.
I think, look, I give all the credit in the world to our law enforcement that serves because, by and large, look, there's bad eggs in every
no matter what
every profession. I believe it is a lot less in law enforcement if you're looking for percentage wise. And I give those men and women in law enforcement, those professionals, a lot of credit for dealing with something like this, and they have to do it in such a professional manner. Look, I would never advocate even law enforcement taking the law into their old hands.
No, I understand.
I know you don't either, but I give them a lot of credit for dealing with people like this, even the feds, and this was a federal case, I believe. So,
gosh, I just don't. And listen, I'm no fan of the feds, but in this particular situation, they did their part. I just don't know. I don't know if I would have the restraint. So they're better people than I am, and I agree with you. I hope if this gentleman is found guilty, and I use the term gentleman because I don't want to cuss.
Again. You already called him a.
Well, no. See, that's not really a cuss. You can say that on some cable television stuff. So, it's just, why? If I was a parent,
listen,
if I was the father of one of those children, if I was the husband of the wife that perished on that table, he never would have saw a courtroom.
You know what? We
never would have saw the courtroom. Sackhead Sean.
I think that look, we did something that our own government didn't do. We saw a problem and we acted.
Well, once again, we're doing what the government isn't. We're solving issues. We're solving problems. We're putting forth intelligent legislation
right,
that can actually make a difference. And you'll notice we didn't have the attorney representative approach where you made a 1,200-page document on one law.
Right.
We were very short, sweet, understandable, kind of like the Second Amendment, right to the point.
Right.
Where it leaves no question as to what our intent was. It's funny how that used to work really well, and we got to get back to it.
It's funny. We said this a couple weeks ago. I could give the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence to a 10-year-old who can tell me exactly what it means.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually did this experiment.
I don't doubt it.
Anyways, another story.
And Sacco did a great job with it.
He can tell me exactly what it meant.
So Conservative Outcry Rooster, our good friend over there, wrote an excellent story, and I want to get to this real quick because this came kind of hot off the press as we were getting ready to go to show. Rooster forwarded me the tweet. Little backstory real quick.
Wait a second. I didn't see this. Why did you not give me a heads up on it?
Well, because you know what? Every now and again I like to surprise you. Sometimes it's candy. Sometimes it's flowers. Other times it's a random tweet and story.
Speaking of candy,
I
hooked.
Dude, you made my night.
Okay.
Made my night. Go ahead.
Brief story. So I surprised Sean tonight. In addition to wearing my Oakland Athletics banner, I brought him some saltwater taffy that I got, and it was a flavor which was absolutely. I think it's a guy flavor. It was maple bacon, and how awesome was that?
I don't know what heaven is like. I've never been there.
Okay.
If I had to take a wild guess, I would say somewhere in heaven is maple, bacon, saltwater taffy. It may not be heaven entirely.
Right.
But like when you go through the gates with St. Peter,
and
sometimes when you go in and leave a restaurant, there's the little things of mint right there.
Right.
Instead of mint, maple, bacon, saltwater taffy.
How about this? How about the ambrosia that was written about with the gods was actually maple, bacon, saltwater taffy?
I never thought about that. You might be onto something.
Thank you.
Do you know where the Ark of the Covenant is too?
Listen,
because you're onto something.
Listen, I can't divulge that information.
All right, fine. You don't want to tell. You keep your secrets. You happen to know everything, and that's just fine. Anyhow, to go back to my story about Rooster and Conservative Outcry, before you got me off on maple bacon, and I'm just sitting here drooling like a bigger idiot than I already sound like tonight. So Rooster penned an article this week at conservativeoutcry.net about Terry Jones.
He penned it?
Yeah, I think he writes it, and then somebody else types it in.
He is so old, he probably doesn't know how to type on the computer.
Maybe it's a quill.
It is a quill. So he quilled.
So he quilled on the parchment
this
week. A really good article about Terry Jones being a nutcase. Terry Jones is the doctor, pastor down, I believe it's Florida, who he's September 11th he was burning Korans against the Muslims. He's just a screwball, and he's trying to make himself a conservative right-wing guy when he's a lunatic. He doesn't speak any about values.
Or
no, I think I meant Terry Jones.
Oh, okay. I was just clarifying.
He doesn't speak of conservative values. He actually speaks of hate, which is kind of the opposite of conservative values.
Right.
Going after these people because of the religion they believe in versus their actions or what have you. So, it's a great article. If you have a chance, go over there and read it. I don't want to give too much away. So somebody tweeted at him, and they were in a back and forth, and Rooster says to at MSS Liberty, Miss Liberty, I'm assuming, you forgot the first line, the line of the First Amendment regarding freedom of religion. Burning of Korans represents nothing but intolerance.
Okay.
To which her response was, intolerance of the intolerant is what the United States, USA is all about. Declaration of Independence, period. Then Islam equals intolerant totalitarian government.
Okay.
Your response?
To which one?
The entire tweet ceremony. Ceremony?
Ceremony?
Yeah.
Look, they both. My response is this: they both have decent points, and here's why I say that. I believe that conservative outcry.
Pardon.
Rooster is absolutely correct when he says that the burning of Qurans represents nothing but intolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's not something that I agree with. I would never partake in the burning of the religious book of another religion, and I believe, again, that does show nothing but intolerance. I believe that those who practice Islam, believe in Islam, have a right to do so in this country under the First Amendment. I'm not about suppressing anybody's individual liberty about religion.
At all.
Everybody pretty much knows that about me. However, I will say this. I will say that if this other wingnuts thing is to burn Qurans because that's what he believes in his religious sect or whatever, then I support his right to do that. I don't agree with it.
Is he not infringing on?
How? If he owns those Qurans, how is he infringing upon anybody else's rights?
I agree.
It'd be like Islamicists.
He's not keeping them from practicing.
No, it's like Islamicists burning copies of the Bible or imprisoning Christians. So it's not like that. I mean, it's not imprisoning anybody. It's a symbolic gesture. It's like people who burn the flag. I don't support that. I think it's disgusting. I think the guy who burns these Qurans is a disgusting piece of garbage.
It's like Yankees fans.
It's like or liberals, but
same thing.
But look, I believe.
Oh, here comes the hate mail.
Intolerance of the intolerant is what the USA is all about. You know what? Yeah, there's some truth to that. In this politically correct world we live in, if somebody is intolerant of somebody else's views, that's not tolerated. You know what? You have a right to be a bigot if that's what you believe. It's not right. We don't have to agree with it.
It's not morally correct.
It's not our job to re-educate.
Right.
It's not our job to look. That was tried a few years ago in a couple countries.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out so well for the people. So I believe they both have good points.
Like I said, I think
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think it makes him an idiot.
Which one?
Terry Jones.
Okay.
I believe doing something like that shows that you're just a jackass in general. I have a lot of different things in my life I don't necessarily agree with, some of which I come on here and speak.
Mm-hmm.
Others, it's my own personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with it. Like guys that wear jeans with flip-flops. Now, I don't say anything when I see them. But if you could have a worse look in the world, I don't know what it is.
Crocs.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least Crocs with flip-flops would be a little bit better because you could say you're a medical professional.
Right.
But jeans with
and
flip-flops.
It's got a better, and you'll pick up
But I don't say anything. Why? Because that's their right. If they want to dress that way, they have that absolute
what about
right.
Pants sagging?
Oh, no, I hate that. And I'll tell you why. I don't like to see my own underwear when I'm dressed. I don't want to see anybody else's.
We are up against a break right now.
We are so up against a break right now. We're actually over a break. And, yeah, we have somebody on hold, and I figured we were going to have somebody on hold. We'll take our good friend Rooster after the break to discuss this briefly, because I knew he was going to call in at some point. We'll be back in a minute on Sackheads Radio.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hello, I'm Ashley, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Dr. Larry Arnn on why the Constitution limits government.
James Madison writes in Federalist 51 that men are not angels. Their passions and self-interest often get the better of their reason and sense of justice. So we need government in order to protect our rights against those who would take them away. But for the same reason, Madison writes, government must be limited because people in government have passions and interests too. Many Americans today forget this, supposing that we can do away with constitutional limits on government, supposing that the unelected bureaucrats being put in charge of our health care, for example, will rule as if they are angels. If Madison was correct about human nature, this is foolish and dangerous.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we are back here on Sackheads Radio. Before we went to the break, we were discussing Conservative Outcry's article on Terry Jones, Rooster namely, and then a little bit of a Twitter spat that he got into. On the phone with us right now, live from deep in the bowels, somewhere in a hidden container where nobody can find him, and protected, and I'm sure he has aluminum foil on the windows and an aluminum foil hat, is Rooster from conservativeoutcry.net.
I said I wouldn't call unless Clint got it wrong, but Clint got it right. The problem is you got the article wrong.
What do you mean?
Meaning Sean. The article really had nothing to do with the First Amendment. However, what it had to do with is people like Terry Jones, the nut jobs that are out there, and and we as conservatives perpetuating their actions by tweeting it, by sharing it.
Right.
So you've got Terry Jones out there, and this is a quote from my article, but Terry Jones is worse. No, let me go back. Now, before I start this, let me preempt my readers by stating I realize there are fringe elements on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
But Terry Jones is worse. He plays on emotions under the guise of what we as conservatives hold most dear, the Constitution of the United States. And in doing so, he arms our opponents with a mix of truth and deception, later used to diminish the conservative movement. So, he says that I have a right to do this under the First Amendment. And I say he does.
Right.
But when he goes out there and he announces it to everybody and says, look what I'm doing, and then we go out and retweet it because, hey, that'll show them terrorists. Look what we're doing. We're burning the Koran. But when you think about it, we're also the same people that are saying, but we're not at war with Islam.
Well, I understand that. I don't think I necessarily made your whole article about the First Amendment. I was talking specifically about the tweets.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you got that wrong. I also didn't want to. Didn't want to give away your whole article, so people went and read. I was trying to do you a solid there, brother. It's called a tease. Remember that? Remember when you got on me on that on Twitter a couple weeks ago? It's called a tease, Rooster. I was teasing. So,
but it does.
Listen, before you come here and slap me in the face.
Look, I offered to buy you 9 beers earlier today.
Hey, you know what? When we come out to D.C. and you come and visit us there, then I'll accept.
Now, will you actually come out and visit us when we're in D.C.?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
All right.
So when you do that, you can buy me 9, and I'll have Clint's 9 as well. Clint and you can drink water. And
I'm a total lightweight.
And carry me home,
one and I'll be done. I do not.
Well,
I'm
old now. I drink old duels.
It has you can spell the word old with O'Doul's.
But it's actually it's an interesting conundrum though, because my statement that the burning of the Koran shows nothing but intolerance towards religion is a true statement. And while you can use the First Amendment and say, I'll protect your right to burn the flag, but can I also protect your right to burn the most holy book of somebody's religion? That brings up a problem.
Yeah. I think
you know what I mean?
I do. I think it brings up. It certainly can be problematic, but I think it actually goes to the core of, do you believe in the Constitution or not? Look, there are emotional issues involved, but those of us that profess to believe in the Constitution and what it ascribes to, we cannot on one hand say that we believe in the Constitution and subscribe to what it outlines and directs us, but not in this case because we don't like what you're able to do. And I think that's what sets us apart as conservatives from liberals, because liberals, they tout the Constitution in a lot of cases, but they look at ways to circumvent or go around because they don't like something. Guns is a primary example of that. So if or even the First Amendment, remember when they tried pushing that net neutrality thing? So if they don't like something, Constitution be damned, they'll go and try and find a way around it. Whereas conservatives, if you really believe in the Constitution, we have to support somebody's right to do something even if we don't like it. I don't care if you're a conservative who doesn't like guns personally. How do you ascribe to the Constitution and then on the other hand say, yeah, but I believe in gun control because it makes sense? Well, does it? What is the purpose of the Second Amendment? We believe in freedom of speech and religion, but do you, if it comes down to burning Qurans and you don't like it? So how are we going to make a law against it? If it was his own property, he was burning his own Qurans. While symbolic, it may be disgusting as a gesture. We may not agree with it. But if we truly believe in the tenets outlined in the Constitution as conservatives, I think we have to support that. And I think that's what separates us, Rooster.
And I fully agree with that statement, and it was one of the reasons I wrote the article was to bring up the problem between those two statements. But I don't agree with your agreement that intolerance is the way of the USA. I think you're mixing up the word intolerance with the word tyranny.
No, I believe that intolerance of the intolerant is the way of the left in a lot of cases, because if in your view you're intolerant of something, then they are intolerant of you. That was the purpose. I don't believe that the USA as a whole is intolerant of intolerance. I believe that there are a lot on the left, if they don't like what you're saying or doing, they are intolerant to that. Chris Matthews is a huge one. Like
figuratively and literally, as is Michael Moore.
Huge. But that's kind of where I was going with that statement.
Well, you know what this comes down to, in my opinion, is simple morals. He has the constitutional right to do it.
He does. Doesn't make it right.
Morally
or ethically or whatever.
Right. It makes it legal, but it doesn't make it quote unquote right. And I think that's when those of us who are watching and can either substantiate it and push it out there, like Rooster said, by retweeting it and all this other stuff, or sit back and do nothing, or do as we're doing right now, speaking out against his action but not his right.
Mm-hmm.
That should be where the argument goes, and that's what that's where people need to be responsible for the Constitution and saying, yeah, you know what, he does have that legal right to do so, but I don't support what he's doing on a moral basis because he's going after a broad spectrum of people with one action versus the actions of he's just making a jackass decision. And like Rooster pointed out in the article, he specifically is preying on people's love of country, pride in the country, by making money off of them.
Yes, but if people were to say, you know what, yeah, you can do it, but you're kind of a jackass for doing it,
and not push it out, not throw it out on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
But what sells? Sensationalism sells.
I know, but that's the problem. Is reality needs to sell. Sensationalism.
Let me
say something else
about
our
morals in this country.
Yes.
And where we've come as a country.
Absolutely.
For the kind of stuff that we find interesting.
But Clint, let me say something else about this guy.
Hanging your underwear out of your pants when you walk down the street.
Yeah, Rooster, go ahead.
He was a featured speaker at a Tea Party rally.
Again, I don't agree with this guy or what he does. I support the Tea Party movement. I think it's an important movement. I think they've done a lot of conservatives.
But does he represent the Tea Party?
No, I don't believe so. No, he doesn't represent me.
So again, think about what you're doing. But can you yell fire?
If there's a Koran
in a movie theater?
Oh. No, because that infringes on other people's liberty. You yell fire in a movie theater, and you have a bunch of people storm out the back exit because nobody takes the time to look forward. People get injured and killed. So because you have those injuries, their liberty is infringed upon.
But if you have this guy burning the Korans, which is going to do nothing but inflame radical Islam, couldn't you make the same argument?
I do not. I cannot personally, because you can't hurt. Yelling fire at a theater
physically puts somebody in danger.
Physically puts people in immediate danger. Burning a Quran kind of hurts people's feelings, and that's really oversimplifying it. And I get it before all the hate mail comes flooding in, but really that's what it's about. It's about hurting their feelings, and they don't like it, so they act out violently. If you yell fire in a theater, people's innate fight or flight takes over. They panic. They immediately run and immediately cause that panic. Terrorists don't have that fight or flight when a Quran is burned. They actually think about it, get pissed off, and then start planning their attack.
But they also get pissed. They also look.
They
for
get
a reason.
pissed off at everything. You draw a cartoon.
They get pissed off.
Somebody. They get pissed off.
Extremists of every side look for a reason to get pissed off.
They have been killing Americans since the birth of our country. We even talked about this on prior shows, going back to Tripoli when Jefferson finally decided to.
There's the Clint I love.
Use some Marines, exercise some personal initiative, and went and kicked ass over there. But we've been fighting radical extremism since the birth of our country. So because some wingnut goes and decides to burn some Qurans on his own private property, it doesn't have any effect. They're going to try and plot and kill us anyway. They use this as an excuse, kind of like the whole well, somebody made a movie and so our embassy got attacked and an ambassador got killed. No, it's an excuse.
I knew full well what was going to happen when I wrote the article, so I did it on purpose, and I wanted to bring it up with Clint, and I know it's going to go on the Twitter. I know I'm going to get comments on it. I'm going to get emails on it. It's fun. It does bring up a couple good points. It
brings up a really good conversation to have, and in my opinion, the conversation is to have, do you support somebody who is using the guise of, in our case, the conservative movement to push a hate that he wants to push because of whatever reason, because in this case,
what do you
he's trying to make money.
If you start using that term hate, what's going to happen? Is somebody going to pass legislation that burning a religious book is all of a sudden hate speech, and now the government is going to keep an eye on him because of hate speech? Or, I mean, at what point does, look, the guy, we don't agree with what he did. The guy has a right to his views. He has the right to those actions and burn and ruin his own personal property if that's what he decides to do. And I'm going to leave it at that in this case. Because I think once we start delving too deep and say, well, it's hate speech, it's a hate action, it's not protected under the First Amendment because it's showing hate towards a particular group, now it can become regulated and everything else. I think that's a very, very dangerous road to go down.
I agree. I think it comes down to just a decision. If you choose to want to enhance this idiot, that's your choice. I don't agree with it. But if you don't agree with it, don't just jump on board because he said a couple key words that you might think made sense and start pushing it. Know what you're pushing, just like the liberals with the changes they make to the know what you're pushing. Healthcare.
They know exactly what they're pushing.
But the people that vote for them don't necessarily know what they're pushing, and they use that guise all the time. And that's what it comes down to: is be informed. Don't be as a quote unquote low information voter or low information involvement. Be forward and do a little bit of research before you pounce on something.
I've done my work.
Thanks, Rooster.
I leave you now. Hey, Clint, do you still read?
Do I still read? Well, yeah.
Do you read the blog?
Yes.
Did you like the booby post?
Yeah. And that's Rooster from conservative.net.
No, you can't leave that way. That even had a message in it, and it was it was a simple message. This is just stupid.
You get an article a week, Rooster, and it was Terry Jones this week.
Oh, no. We got to do the booby post at one point.
We'll talk about it next week. Colin, we'll do it next week, all right?
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Rooster. That was a good argument. Oh, man. Where to go from here? Hey.
Did you see The Amazing Race?
I did.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I saw it like once when it came out like 5 years ago.
Did you see what they did this week?
No. I don't watch them anymore. It's a stupid show.
It is a stupid show, in my opinion. So they're kind of under some fire from some veteran groups. They they race all around the world and try and
they're in pairs and they try to win accomplishments and blah blah blah.
Good show. Okay, so
it's just another reality show.
This episode was set in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Okay.
Where the contestants raced and went to a memorial that is set up there. This memorial, I'm going to use in quotation marks, is no big deal, right? You think it's going to a memorial. The problem is this memorial is a wreckage of a B-52 bomber, an American B-52 that was shot down during the Vietnam War. And some crew members, I believe 2 crew members lost their lives, and other crew members were became prisoners of war.
So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And here they use this memorial, this American warplane that was shot down by a communist regime, as a prop, as a backdrop for this amazing race. And not only that, but while the contestants are going, they had to learn a song in front of this portrait of Ho Chi Minh, who was the North Vietnamese communist leader during the time, and listened to children sing this communist song, including some of the lyrics, and this is according to a Fox News article, quote, "Vietnam Communist Party is glorious, the light is guiding us to victory." And they're listening to the song with these lyrics and going around this B-52, and the contestants are completely clueless. I mean, nobody even kind of realizes maybe what they're running around or what they're listening to. I don't know. I was kind of shocked when I saw some of the clips that nobody even. It was like no big deal. And it is. What are your thoughts?
I think it's awful. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you're desecrating a memorial where people who fought for this nation and the amazing race. This particular one, it's on CBS. I know there are other countries, but this is the American-based one. Americans who gave their lives for your freedom to be able to do silly runs like this, or whatever you want to call it, or races, to use that as a prop is, to me, a slap in the face. Well, that's almost like, and I know that I'm gonna get heat because of how many people died versus how many people died, but whatever. But it's almost like
about
using
50,000 Americans died during the Vietnam War.
But it's almost like using the Arizona as a prop. Like they hid something under one, part of the downed Arizona in Hawaii in Pearl Harbor. It's the same thing. How could you even think about that being okay?
But not only that, it's like the North Vietnamese use this almost as a trophy, right?
Right.
Hey, they're proud that they killed American servicemen and shot down this B-52, and this is a trophy. And here you have an American program, an American company, sending people through this, and now they have to listen to this song also, this
communist.
Yeah, Vietnam Communist Party is glorious. Socialism is growing more beautiful with time. Follow the party's step. Be loyal. Be pure. Those are some of the lyrics, and that was from a New York Post article that posted those particular lyrics. So, absolutely disgusting to me. Some veterans groups have called for an apology, of course,
and rightfully so.
Of course, the network has been completely silent on it. They've declined comment about this. It's been a few days now, and nobody is saying anything. Bob Beckel, who is a liberal, he is on Fox News The Five,
right?
And listen, I disagree with a lot of things that Bob Beckel says. However, I think he's pretty fair.
Mm-hmm.
I have an opportunity to listen to him. I listened to him several times because while I disagree with him, he makes some good points, and I believe he's fair. He doesn't hate this country. He loves this country. And I believe that about him. And he was so upset about this that he actually ranted about it on The Five for 2 days straight and demanding an apology from CBS, which I don't believe he's got yet. I was very happy that he did that. I was very proud that he did that, and he was so outspoken about it because he was pretty passionate. And I wish there was more passion like that from other media outlets. I haven't seen it. Maybe did Chris Matthews say anything about it?
I haven't seen anything from Chris. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. What?
Yeah, and it's funny. I was looking at, when you first brought it up to me, I was looking at it not from the communist memorial side, just the simple fact that our service members, some were perished and some were captured as a result of this crash, and being an American, looking at that and saying, would I play essentially a child's game in it? Just without take away the children singing, would I desecrate this for a stupid game at all? No. For no reason. There is no reason in the world to do that. Okay, now you add in the fact that they had to listen to this communist indoctrination song. It was a communist trophy.
Learn the lyrics, I believe.
And learn the lyrics, and even if they didn't. If I was one of those contestants, I would have walked away and been like, you know what, I lose this round. The hell with this. You know what, I quit the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way that you can sit here and tell me that this is okay to do to a downed aircraft from the Vietnam era in which 2 people perished and other people were taken hostage, that is now a memorial, a prize, if you will,
to this communist regime.
To the communist regime. Yeah, I think that if anybody on that show had half a brain, they'd walk away.
What does that say about the contestants?
Anything for money. It's kind of like this country. It's kind of where we've gone in this country a lot. Anything for money all the time. It doesn't matter if your morals are given away, if your scruples are, as long as you're getting that almighty dollar and you don't care how you earn it. And listen, you can say whatever you want. Oh, they're great competitors, they're great athletes, all blah, 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 blah. When they go on those shows,
they are? Have you seen some of the pictures?
I'm talking about a lot of the overall reality TV shows, Survivor and all that stuff. When you go on there and you act like a buffoon in front of millions of people to make a quick dollar and you essentially sell your soul, you're a jackass.
Who do you fault more? Do you fault more the show or do you fault more the participants for not standing up? Really?
Yeah.
I fault the show more and the network for setting it up, for even setting it up.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, from the participant standpoint, yeah, it's upsetting. However, how tired are they? They're kind of in the moment. They're in the show. They've got a lot going on. Do they even realize it? And I'm reaching here. Admittedly, I am reaching. I'm giving
really far.
You
got go gadget arms right now.
I am giving every benefit of the doubt here to these individuals. Still think it's a horrible thing, but I blame the producers more. I blame CBS more, and the fact that nobody has come out yet. To my knowledge, have you seen an apology?
I haven't seen anything.
It just sickens me. So
well, and it's one of those things, and we're going to run long because we cut our last break, our last segment. I cannot, for the life of me, though. Listen, I understand that the show produced this, and I understand they set it up. I am going under the slight guise that maybe the producer who set this whole thing up, and I know somebody had to sign off it, maybe they weren't American. Maybe they didn't even think about it.
Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the names associated.
Well, he's the executive producer, yeah. But I mean the person that's doing the week-to-week production on the show. Where are we going to set this up? Where are we going to set that up? Blah, 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 blah.
So nobody had any idea what this is? Nobody listened to the lyrics of the song?
I don't know. But
no, I find that so hard to believe.
I don't have any facts in front of me on that. What I do have facts in front of me is these people went there, they found out what it was, and they chose to participate.
Look, I still have to blame the producers too for even setting this up. Whether somebody should have known what this was. If you didn't know what this was, you should have known what it was, and there's the failure.
Well,
it's kind of like Benghazi.
What?
What? Not really, because nobody lost their lives here this year, but
it goes back for me with what the hell is wrong with this country is people will do anything for $1, and they have no morality, no view of right and wrong. Hey, I got to win this, and I don't care if I'm going to trample all over where soldiers perished during the Vietnam War. I have to get this thing or that prize or the stick or the magic amulet.
How about the other media outlets that don't call attention to this?
Yeah. Well, I've said right along, though, these reality shows are part of a huge problem in this country because it gives this bizarre twist on reality that if you live in this house with 30 other people and you can make these awful decisions and stab people in the back, left, and right, and that's how you win the game, that's how you become successful, that's not reality. And the things that they do on these shows, the fact that they'll sell their soul for a nickel and just people that they were friends with, they would betray, and that's reality TV as a whole. Also, they can either be famous or get a couple $1,000s here or whatever. That drives me insane. People have lost their ethic to work, and it's the whole get-rich scheme. It's a lot of problems with kids. I think growing up these days are like that. They see these shows, they see sports athletes, they see music stars, they see a bunch of other things, and they think that's the way to go, and not the hard work that goes involved. And I'm not saying these sports athletes don't work really hard to get where they are, and I'm not saying that these musicians don't work really hard or whatever. But what happens is they only see the final product or how to get rich quick, and that's all pushed and that's all okay. And they just focus, oh, you know what, I'm going to be the world's greatest football player. Well, do you have a backup plan in case you aren't one of the 1% of people that try out for the NFL? Well, no, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. Well, you know what? Like I said before, I was pretty sure growing up I was going to be the starting catcher for the Boston Red Sox. That didn't happen.
Well, it didn't happen for three years in a row.
Right. And I was close. I wasn't even invited to spring training, so I was right on the cusp. I actually, I don't think I was allowed to buy a Red Sox hat for a long time. I was right there. But the reality of the situation is things like this dumb down our morals even more. And I'm not, I'm not a huge, religious person. You know that. I have my own personal beliefs, but I don't. But I think morals in general are out there for a reason. And you either do the right thing or you don't do the right thing. And when you don't do the right thing, it's just disgusting to me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I went on a tangent.
You did. I'm just going to call them disgusting or ignorant. Either way. They did this knowingly and didn't care, in which case they're disgusting. Or they had no idea what it was they were doing or what the song really meant, in which case they're ignorant. And I'm going to blame the producers because I have a very difficult time believing that they had no idea what the site was. We're up against a break.
We are up against a break.
When we come back, I'd like to talk about a recent Senate vote.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun thing.
Which I found interesting.
Well, let's do that. We'll be back in a minute here with Sackheads Radio.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we are back. Before we get into the story, we do have our news professional, and I say that because, well, she's frankly a news professional. Vern, Sackhead Vern is on the air to do the news with us tonight. Vern, how are you?
Oh, I'm an honorary Sackhead. That is
just for the night, though. You have to turn in your ID when you leave the building.
All right, fine. Whatever. That's okay.
So, Vern,
That's fine.
this is going to be the lightning round of news. You have 4 quick stories, and we're going to start off. Go.
All right, FAA to close 149 air traffic towers under the budget cuts. And under the orders to trim hundreds of millions of dollars from the budget, the Federal Aviation Commission, or Administration rather, on Friday released a final list of 149 air traffic control towers that it will close at small airports around the country starting early next month. The closures will not force any of those airports to shut down, but the pilots will be left to coordinate takeoffs, landings, and other situations there among themselves over a shared radio frequency with no help from ground controllers. And those procedures are familiar to pilots. Now, we also have a situation going on right now in Colorado. Looks like the governor, a friend of the paroled inmate's dad, Attorney Jack Ebel, testified before the Colorado legislature 2 years ago that solitary confinement in a Colorado prison was destroying the psyche of his son, Evan. When Jack Ebel's longtime friend, Governor John Hickenlooper, was interviewing a Missouri corrections officer for the top prisons job in Colorado, he did mention the case as an example of why the prison system needed reform. And once Tom Clement came to Colorado, he eased the use of solitary confinement and tried to make it easier for people housed there to reenter society.
So now let me get this straight. That guy, and they had a guy that was arrested in Texas that they think is linked to the shooting in Colorado. You're saying
Yes.
The guy that's arrested in Texas is the son of this
Yes.
gentleman who is the governor's friend?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess your flow up.
No, but that yes, that was my thought as well. When I first got wind of the story, I thought, wow, isn't that interesting?
Keep your
So,
friends
yeah,
close and your jackasses closer. Good job,
pretty much.
Governor.
There you go. And now on to, looks like a late night session. The Senate Democrats are working to pass a budget. Looks like they're near approval for the first budget proposal in about 4 years on Friday, calling for almost $1 trillion in tax increases over the coming decade, while sheltering safety net programs targeted by House Republicans. The Democrats also would reverse automatic spending cuts that are beginning to strike both the Pentagon and domestic programs. The non-binding but politically symbolic measure caters to party stalwarts in the liberal edge of the spectrum, just as the House GOP measure is crafted to appeal to more recent Tea Party arrivals. And
now, wait a minute. So we're gonna get through this spending, and it's gonna cost us another $1 trillion to get a budget going.
Something like that.
Okay.
Where are they going to get the money? Oh, from us.
Where do they
Okay, that's
get
good.
the money?
Vern, are you going to write them the check to take care of all that?
Where else have they been getting the money? But of course.
Well, you're certainly not paying it from here. So go on.
I'm a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on.
Moving on. And last but not least, we do have the situation looming in Syria. Obama is warning of a potential enclave for extremism in the Syrian region. President Barack Obama warned Friday that an enclave for extremism could fill a leadership void in a war-torn Syria, a chilling scenario for an already tumultuous region, especially for Jordan, Syria's neighbor and a nation at the crossroads of the struggle for stability in the Middle East. In a significant step towards easing regional tensions, Obama also brokered a phone call between leaders from Israel and Turkey that resulted in an extraordinary apology from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for a deadly 2010 raid on a Gaza-bound Turkish flotilla. The call marketed a diplomatic victory for the president and a crucial realignment in the region, given Israel's and Turkey's shared interests, in particularly the fear that Syria's civil war could spill over to their respective borders.
Now,
and that's what I've got for you.
Vern, did you find any evidence? Because that story seems to lend credence to our theory that Air Force One got lost. And landed in Israel by mistake. So do you think
was he going to Turkey to fill that
President
void?
Obama was actually going to Turkey to broker this deal, and he couldn't make it on gas or whatever it was, so he ended up just landing in Israel to ask directions or refuel?
Probably something like that. I mean, especially with the breaking down of the vehicle there earlier in the week. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, that's funny. I thought he was going to fill the void in leadership that you were talking about. So we had two different theories on that.
No, I don't think he can fill any void in leadership. He's having a hard enough time here. But listen, you talked about 149 control towers that the FAA is closing.
Speaking of which, yes, go ahead.
What I was asking is there? Do you know if there are any plans? This is because of these sequester cuts, right? The FAA is saying.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what they're saying. Obviously, they've said that they want this to hurt. They want the American people to hurt it. Have there been any statements made that you've been able to read about passenger safety or flight safety as a result of these towers being closed?
There have been concerns and talks of concerns for both, actually. Flight safety has been an issue as far as the cuts have been concerned, and that has been one of the main issues that has arisen. So yeah, it's been discussed. It definitely has been discussed.
And I know that the FAA has some funds that were research funds that they have available that have not been spent that they can use to help keep some of these open, but for whatever reason, they're not using these funds. They want to use
They need it for research.
They want to use this sequester cut that is being thrown out there right now, which they're sequester cuts from money that hasn't even been spent yet, so I don't even understand that.
Oh, no, it's been spent.
Oh, yeah.
It just hasn't been made.
It hasn't been made yet.
It's well spent.
But so they're closing these towers, which can affect civilian safety. I want to know what's going to happen if, God forbid, one of these flights crashes and somebody loses their life.
Well, they're going to blame the sequester cuts.
Of course they are.
They're going to go right into that. See what the
FAA
Republicans did? They essentially killed this pilot. Well, how did they do that? Well, they allowed these automatic cuts to kick in. We had to close these control towers.
But
you had the money.
But weren't the cuts your idea? Hey, listen,
well, yeah, no, it doesn't.
Off track here.
Our idea, they let it happen. Cart before the horse. Come on now, let's not be stupid. Right. Hey, Vern, thank you so much for giving us the news this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Will do. Good night.
Good night. That was Vern with the news here on Sackheads Radio. So,
that's what it kills me. So they're gonna put civilian lives in jeopardy.
Yeah.
By closing these towers.
Yeah.
So there are how many redundant programs? Look, remember the federal government? They did this audit. How many redundant programs are there in the federal government? And you don't have enough toes or fingers.
Hold on, I'm taking my shoes off, dude.
So you can't find these cuts anywhere else. We're talking about a 2% pay decrease. Americans have been living with this since you guys let the payroll tax expire. Are you kidding me? 2%? And it goes back to the whole philosophy of, we have to make Americans feel it. They have to hurt. And it was noted that 75% of these towers are in Republican districts.
Yeah, weird, right? Really? We're going to make the American people feel it.
Apparently we're using politics and we're putting American lives in jeopardy because
but what else is
we want to make people feel it.
Did the same thing with Benghazi, remember that?
Man.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Wait, what?
What?
I don't. Huh.
It goes along with it that it doesn't matter what they have to use to get their leverage. They're going to use it to get their leverage.
Well,
it's 2%. I lost more than that with the current tax increases. You know what I did? I budgeted a little bit different. Yeah. Slightly. Not even a lot.
Yeah.
I have one less cup of Dunkin' Donuts that I buy every single day. That's it. One less cup. And I replace
kind of
it.
A big deal, though.
I replace it with a piece of crap gas station cup. So, I get through it.
Well,
I suffer.
Obama suffered kind of a defeat this week. The Senate held a vote, and this was a vote yesterday, on the Hatch Amendment number 297 to the Democratic budget. In this vote, they voted to repeal the medical device tax.
Weird.
Which is a big deal, because this medical device tax would have given $30 billion to help fund portions of Obamacare. This is largely symbolic. It's probably not going to come into play because the Senate budget isn't going to go anywhere politically. But it's pretty telling, because you had 33 Democrats and 1 independent vote for this. The vote was 79-20 to pass this, and of course the 2 lovely senators from California voted nay. But what I thought was interesting is even Al Franken voted to repeal this medical device tax.
Well, yeah.
And it would have been a 2.3% tax on medical devices, ranging everything from pacemakers, I mean, you name it, any medical device. And these companies were going to take a huge hit on the front end, which would have really stifled some of the research and development that they're planning to do.
Well, you know what? I heard something this week.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to talk the statement of purpose, and this is from the United States Senate website under their legislation and records. Roll call vote for the 113th Congress, first session. And this is vote number 47. The statement of purpose is, quote, to promote innovation, preserve high-paying jobs, and encourage economic growth for manufacturers of life-saving medical devices and cutting-edge medical therapies. Now, you had 79-20 was the vote, with 1 abstention, 1 not voting, who was a Democrat. You have 33 Democrats, 1 independent. You have bipartisan support for this. Not 1 Republican voted nay. And they are admitting, just in their statement of purpose, that we need to do this so that we can promote innovation. Because if this stays in, we're going to stifle it. It says here, preserve high-paying jobs.
You mean government's going to get their hands on something even more and it's not going to work?
Right.
Bizarre.
Preserve high-paying jobs. Why? Because if this stays in, we're not going to. Encourage economic growth for manufacturers of life-saving devices and cutting-edge medical therapies. Oh, so if this stays in, it's not going to encourage economic growth for
Weird.
Interesting.
I thought it was supposed to.
Now, another question comes up, and is this the beginning of the defunding or dismantling of Obamacare? First question.
One could hope.
Second question is, if this does stay in effect, if this does pass, if this does become law, how is Obama going to make up this $30 billion deficit that this legislation is going to leave now? Because
close air traffic control towers?
I don't know. This healthcare law is going to stay in effect unless it continues to be dismantled.
How about no more tours at the White House? I'm just shooting ideas on where we can save this money.
Ooh, I got it. How about no more Air Force One trips?
How about no trips to Florida to play golf? I think that'll cut a lot of it back.
How about any vacation has to be paid for personally by the president?
Yeah, I would say that for
like
every
anybody
president.
else.
Every president.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what state business is he doing taking a family on vacation?
Well, he was teaching Tiger Woods how to golf. I have no idea.
I don't know. So I thought it was interesting.
We give him a camp to go vacation at. It's there. Every president used it, including he. Remember, that's where he was skeet shooting?
Yeah. Well, no, he wouldn't do that because he supports gun control.
Right. You know, I heard a thing a couple weeks ago when this first came up, and they went after the taxes on these medical devices, and everyone's talking about the human being side aspect, and I agree, obviously. But then somebody else brought up a good point. I forget what. I was listening to a talk show, or maybe I was reading a newsroom, but somebody said, yeah, a lot of these same devices are the same devices that vets use, and they've already gotten notification from their vets that says if this implements, their payment for services through their vets is going to go through the roof astronomically. Mm-hmm. Because the vet's like, well, I can't suck this up. And it's not just dog and cat vets. Well, pets are optional. It's farmers, all their animals, stuff like that, things that are part of our economy. I mean, pets are part of our economy. That people buy food and blah, 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 blah. But serious, huge numbers of vets that do cows and horses and all that stuff, things that run the economy would get nailed, and they would have to pass those onto the farmers, the pet owners, whatever, and that payments, especially with the farmers, you and I are going to pay for again anyhow.
You know what? We're already paying for the farmers. Not a big deal. Department of Agriculture just subsidized more, so I don't think that's really a huge deal. What?
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, thanks.
I think this is the first wrinkle in a shirt that is in bad need of ironing, if you will. I think.
Look, this has to be really, really uncomfortable for the Obama administration.
Yeah.
To see bipartisan support for something like this.
Bipartisan's a big one. And I think that as we go on, listen, the 2014 midterms aren't far away.
Which is, I think, why a lot of these
Democrats are going to start jumping on it.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that weren't in office to vote for it are really going to run against it. Because, hey, listen, I wasn't a part of that. I didn't believe in it. I think this is bad for the economy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, look, it even says so in the text of this bill. So
well, and I think it was the New York Times that came out this week and released another story about how your copay, when Obamacare really kicks in 2014 in January, how your private insurance is going to double or triple.
Because it's a Cadillac insurance plan.
Right.
Unless you go on the government plan.
Especially if the medical tax, equipment tax goes away, and they're going to start finding other ones to weed out. You can't tell me that's not in that 1,200-page monstrosity of a law that we would push down our throat.
I can't tell you I don't think anybody can tell you
Nobody can tell you what's in it. But there'll be more and more, and they're going to have to make it up elsewhere. And I'll tell you right now, just like everything else, we're going to take it where the thermometer goes.
Under the tongue? I don't understand that.
That's option A.
I don't the temporal thermometer thing?
Doesn't matter.
On the forehead.
We're going to take it on the forehead. Like a helmet.
What kind of helmet?
What?
I
don't know, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Now listen, what I mean is it's going to be a long fight to defund Obamacare. It's not going to be done all at once. It may have to be dismantled piece by piece. That might be the only way to go about it, because I don't think you're going to get enough Dem support, especially in the Senate right now, to go after it in one fell swoop. But I think you can get enough support on individual portions of it.
Riddle me this. Do you think that the conservatives, and I say conservatives because I don't care if it's a conservative Democrat or a conservative Republican, do you believe that the conservatives in the midterm elections can get enough in the House and in the Senate to overturn an Obama veto on any legislation like that?
No. I don't think the Conservative Party is going to get it together by then. I don't think conservatives in general are going to get on the same page by then. We have all this infighting going on right now between Republicans and conservatives and Tea Partiers and some libertarians that are more conservative. All that fighting's going on. I think gun control is going to be a major issue to kind of get people on the same side of the fence. I think it's going to almost be like the Dems for Obamacare. I think for the conservatives, it's going to be a big deal. But I just don't think it's going to be together by 2014.
And the problem is that there was, I believe it was a Fox News poll came out that most Americans favor some sort of gun legislation. What does that mean?
Well, I think when they say some sort of legislation,
does that mean like crazy people can't have guns?
Right.
Okay.
I am for that too.
But then who defines?
But what they should do is just make a law that says crazy people can't have guns.
Who defines what is crazy? Who defines what dangerous is?
Medical doctors. Well, mentally unstable, mentally insane doctors.
Okay, but who backs them up? You mean to tell me there's no doctors with? Look, I agree that crazy people should not have guns. However, what scares me is if the government can dictate who is a crazy person.
Yes, that's a slippery slope.
That is a very slippery slope.
Because now just wanting the gun could classify you as insane.
Yeah, why do you need a gun? Why are you so paranoid?
Why are you paranoid? Do you think somebody's going to hurt you? No, the guy next door got broken into 6 times. The guy on the other side got broken into 7 times. I don't want to be broken into the first time without being able to defend myself. So you are paranoid.
Ooh.
No. I have a good reason. I live in a lousy neighborhood.
No. See, this is called denial. This is a classic first step.
Well, but
I'm going to have to
there's
document this and report.
But there's not enough police funding on the street to protect me from these people. I can't wait for the police. I have to do it. So you think that the police are conspiring against you too? No, you don't understand. All right, fine, I'm crazy.
It's a whole catch-22 thing. Look,
it is a catch-22.
So what kind of mechanism is in place to ensure that these doctors' diagnosis is correct? Is there some mechanism in place to where the guns are kept and held, and now they can get them back if they're deemed stable? Or, yeah. Look, I partially blame the ACLU. I believe it was the ACLU that really brought about kind of the downfall of some of the mental health care and institutions here in this country, because we used to have a place where we could put the mentally unstable people, where they could go and finger paint with their poop all the walls or whatever it is they want to do. But we had doctors there that was able to... Are you okay?
No, go on. I'm going to mute my microphone.
It's okay. You have the poop guy in the corner, and you had doctors there on site 24 hours who could care for them, but there were lawsuits that were brought, and I believe the ACLU was involved in this, that said, no, this is inhumane, they have a right to be out, blah, 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 they can treat themselves. And now we have an issue. We have a lot of mentally unstable people that are out on the streets that really need care, that are not on the radar, really being seen. Look, we have a mental health care problem in this country. So that being said, I think it's going to be very difficult to have a check in place to catch this on the front side. Absent, unless parents, different story, because you really know your kids or something like that. But what if your neighbor is just somebody who's different? What are you going to have, a neighbor call and say it's
I agree. Different doesn't necessarily mean insane.
Right.
I've had plenty of friends who are different.
I have concern about how this is going to...
Look, we have a friend of the show that writes blogs under the guise of a chicken. So...
Right.
we all have
under the guise of a cock.
Right. We all have different friends. I do fear that they'll just reclassify, or they can. I'm not saying they will. They can reclassify what's mentally unstable.
It's not that they will, but they have the ability to. And right. I am so against giving our government the ability to have anything on a sliding scale.
Right. And you know, like you were talking about when they used to have asylums, now people are, all right, you have a mental disability, whatever it is, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, however many other ones they want to make up now. It doesn't matter. You have this
attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Now what you're responsible to do is, okay, as long as you take your 22 medications a day, you have to take them an hour and a half apart. You can't be in the sun for more than 30 minutes. Stay with me now because this is kind of an important deal. Now, after you're not in the sun for 30 minutes, make sure you have 2 glasses of water, listen to one Bon Jovi song, take 3 sets of medications, and then, really? Because this person's here because they can't take care of themselves. And
or
now
they have a very difficult time doing so.
Or now we're putting it back in their hands, saying, take care of yourself and you'll be fine as long as you do these 42 steps. What happens if they miss that step, sir? Well, then they absolutely go off their rocker. Okay, so we're trusting literally the insane to care for the insane. Yep. And nobody else thinks this is a problem. Nope. Okay, I do. Well, that must be because you're insane.
Is John McCain here?
Is the senator here?
Now, that's another. Senator McCain actually voted for this other amendment also. Anyways, I digress.
Well, let's not get forward. Why don't we take a break because we're just going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute with Sackheads Radio.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we're back. We once again did it.
Look, we've been dancing.
We made it through a break and we came back.
We've been dancing around it all night. So Obama lands in Israel.
He finally found Israel. Which is funny because I've emailed the White House over and over again the Google Maps link right to it.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, they never got back to me. I was willing to help him find it, but apparently he could do it all by himself. He just needed a low tank of gas. So, and the first thing he goes over is talks tough on Iran. And now, this is just a complete squabble on my behalf.
Okay.
He calls the Prime Minister Netanyahu Bibi during one of the press conferences.
Isn't that the name of like some brand of clothing?
That's his nickname, or that's like the short name for him.
Did he make that brand of clothing?
You know, well, it's almost no. I think that's B-E-B-E, Bebe. I don't know. I don't know close. Okay. Why would you even do that to me?
I'm asking. I don't know. It's a legitimate question.
And
don't judge me. Clearly, your judgment of me is based on my race.
Right. It's not a big deal, but I think he was kind of doing it to be like, hey, look how good friends we are. I'm going to call you Bibi repeatedly, and we're so tight, Israel and America, and we love you, and this administration really supports you, Bibi, and I think you're a great guy, Bibi. And Netanyahu looked at him and said, well, Mr. President, that's wonderful. He said, yeah, Bibi, isn't that great? Just call him Prime Minister or Mr. Netanyahu. You can call him Bibi once or twice and throw it in there. And this is a complete
behind
rant.
Closed doors.
This has nothing to do with politics. This is just like a pet peeve to me that I don't know if he's doing it to seem cool or is it like he's below me. I can call him Bibi.
It's like when a 10-year-old meets you for the first time and calls you by your first name.
Yes, that's exactly what I felt like. It's just not. It just wasn't cool. Either way, so he went on and he pretty much said, you know, we have to.
Yes.
We have to be tough on Iran.
Of course we do.
We're not going to let Iran get nukes. They both agree that Iran's within a year of possibly manufacturing nuclear weapons.
So wait a second. They agree now, because before our two different intelligence agencies were on different pages, right?
Well, apparently they agree now.
Okay, so Israel was right.
Right.
Okay. Obama's administration was wrong.
Yeah, and that...
Okay.
And,
no, I'm just clarifying for those that may not know.
And despite the fact that they've had, quote-unquote, great success in mobilizing the international community behind stringent sanctions against Iran...
Because it's doing a lot.
Right.
Doing great in North Korea also, guys.
Yeah, no, but I can see how that's going to parlay right into them never getting a nuke either.
Right.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu insisted such an approach must be augmented by a clear and credible threat of military action. In other words...
Is that a quote?
Yes. In other words... Wait, I didn't do it in the air? Sorry, I meant to do air quotes. My bad. In other words, yeah, okay, we can do sanctions, but when they get to the point that they're going to have a nuke, we're probably going to go in and bomb them whether you like it or not. That's kind of what I took out of it.
Okay.
Of don't leave us hanging. This needs to be dealt with.
As in Israel is going to go in and take care of it, and the United States is going to give them the weapons they need.
Maybe. Which part of this is they agreed that we're going to give them military support. It already goes through further military support. It goes through 2017, our current agreement, and they're saying they're going to extend that soon.
I don't know that I believe this president would send troops, American troops, to fight. I think he should. I don't know that he will. I believe that he would send hardware. I believe he would send weaponry. Bullets.
You would hope.
I believe he would send,
Well, they should have enough bullets. The Department of Homeland Security just bought a ton of them.
Yeah, local law enforcement, I read an article, can't even get them right now because of Homeland Security.
So we have enough to give them.
In case we have a flood.
We also have a ton of Humvees to give them, too.
We do.
So that's good.
But I don't know that that Obama would commit troops to Israel. I would hope he would. I don't know that he would, but at least he is making a public statement that, hey, we have your back, we stand with Israel, and he gave a pledge of support. And I believe he will support Israel. I
can't imagine that he would not.
Look, I'll be honest. I really didn't believe it before. I was really nervous about what would happen, what this administration's stance would be if Israel went in and took unilateral action against Iran, which I would have supported. They can do that. They're threatened directly, I believe.
Well, I'm
sorry, real quick. Let me finish this thought. I believe that this administration would support Israel, if not with direct troops. I believe they would through military hardware, finances, and so forth, which I'm relieved at.
Right.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that belief before.
Well, Netanyahu did say, quote, Israel can never cede the right to defend ourselves to others, even to the greatest of our friends, and Israel has no better friends than the United States of America.
Israel has no other friends other than the United States of America.
The UK.
And the UK. But really, since, remember Yorktown, we are the UK, for all intents and purposes. That was for my friend Pierce.
So,
what?
Our good friend Pierce Morgan. Obama didn't stay on the issue of Iran as long as I think a lot of people expected. Then they got on to Palestine. Netanyahu acknowledged that Israel must stay fully committed to the peace process with the Palestinians and the solution to 2 states for 2 people, and that Israel extends their hand of friendship to the Palestinian people. Again, it's one of those things that Obama did not stay long on it. He just suggested both sides need to take steps to build confidence upon which lasting peace can depend. And that worked out well because the day he was leaving, Palestine launched 2 rockets into Israel while the president was there. So that's working out well.
Palestine did?
Yeah.
I thought, isn't the president a supporter of Free Palestine? Why would they launch rockets into Israel?
Well, he was going over to visit there too. So, fortunately, there were protesters though from Palestine, and one of them was quoted saying, "We're here to send a message to President Obama. Our struggle, our nonviolent, peaceful resistance will continue until we're free."
And then they launched 2 rockets. So that was good.
So that worked out well.
There was a quote that Obama said, and this is a quote, to preserve Israel's qualitative military edge so it can defend itself by itself against any threat. So there you go. Sounds like he's willing to pledge military hardware, but not military boots.
In general. Well, and the White House said this whole trip was for a chance to connect with the Israeli people who he hasn't seen, met, or talked to in 5 years. He talked to them once, I think. But Israel's newspaper, Ma'ariv, and if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize, did a poll, and they found that only 10% of Israelis had a favorable attitude towards President Obama. Mm-hmm. Out of that, 17% define their attitude towards the president as hateful. You know, one of the things I like about the Israelis, they don't mince words. You know, you kind of know where you stand with the Israelis. And right now, this president, after not doing much for them since he's been in office and not showing much support, I mean, look at when Prime Minister Netanyahu came to speak at the UN last year, he barely got a phone call, and that was only after they were really pressured to say, hey, maybe you should have a phone call with the Prime Minister. And he wasn't invited to the White House. I understand what you're saying. He will support them with military hardware because that way it's a win-win situation. He's not really giving them boots on the ground, but he can always say, hey, we supported Israel. I don't think he is a friend of Israel, and I stand by that statement. I don't believe that he personally is. However, look, I have to give credit to this administration. At least he is now willing to say, which I have not heard him say before, in specific terms. Right.
Hey, we are going to support them, give them the means basically so that they can defend themselves against this Iranian threat. I haven't heard him be that clear about it. And so while I wish he would also offer U.S. assets if need be, because let's face it, what's Iran going to do if Israel attacks?
Right.
They're going to attack. What are they going to do? You know, Hezbollah. You got Gaza. There are a bunch of things Iran can do, and the United States could theoretically get pulled in.
Well, and you also wonder too, what will Syria do if that happens?
Yeah.
One of my biggest fears for Israel, and I've said before, I'm a big supporter of Israel. One of my fears is if they go at it with Iran, Iran retaliates. You start getting all these rogue nations who are friends of Iran that either attack Israel proper or its allies or any, you know what I mean?
I think any attack on
involved.
Israel would be improper.
Yes. What did I say?
You said proper.
No, I meant their land.
Oh. What? You know what the wild card here is?
Yes.
Egypt.
Egypt's a big wild card.
Egypt used to be a stabilizing force in that region, and they're not anymore. We're still giving them a lot of money. That's a whole different segment.
We're giving them planes, too.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Good job.
Not Cessnas.
Oh, not...
I believe it was F-15s.
What about Learjets?
No.
Oh, nice.
I believe they were actually fighting airplanes. I believe they're called combat airplanes. You should know. Either way.
Listen, why do you have to go there? Anyways...
Fortunately, one of the things they did do on this trip is try to repair relations with
Air
the Turks.
Force One, so it could go to where it's supposed to.
Well, after he refueled, yeah.
Okay.
And as Vern mentioned on the news, he did help repair relations with the Turks because there was that issue with the flotilla a couple of years ago.
I give him credit on that. I give him credit to help Israel and Turkey bridge that gap.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And it'll be huge if something does happen with Iran because the Turks, especially with Syria, the Turks can be a valuable ally for Israel, especially with Iran and Syria. The Turks are pretty able, and they have a good military, and they have a pretty well-trained military. And I think they have a good government that wants to do the right thing. I think they would come to the aid. Mm-hmm. They are part of NATO. So I think that was I will give them credit for that. That was a huge victory to get them to kind of talk and say, hey, sorry.
Now, if the president really wants to stay out of this, what happens if Turkey helps Israel and then invokes NATO so that all the NATO countries have to get involved?
Yeah, and that, I was reading in the chat room not too long ago, and somebody brought up that exact same scenario. A lot of people forget that Turkey is a NATO nation,
country.
And I don't know why they forget that because they've been a big NATO supporter for a long time. So
they're a member too, not just a supporter.
Right? No, they are a full-fledged member.
They're not only the president; they're a client.
Yeah, and
not the president.
I forget which rule it is. I think it's Rule 8. But if they invoke it, It does draw in all the other NATO. We are part of NATO.
Yep.
I also, once we get spread that thin and I go to that whole worldwide thing, we get into that situation with Iran, Israel, maybe Syria will jump in because, A, the view comes off him, so I think Assad will go crazy and kill a lot of his own people, but I think he would also attack Israel to support Iran. The Russians support Syria. Which way would they go there? Then you throw in the North Korea wild card, and you have...
I was just going to bring that up. What happens if North Korea sees all these countries focused in that region?
And they go south.
Now they decide to... Well, North Korea went south a long time ago.
Right.
But they decide to if you're that exchange student, that crazy exchange student who called in that said that we deserve to be turned into... please call in again, because you're out of your mind, and I'd really like to talk to you again. But anyways, and I have a really good friend of mine. No, you don't. You don't have any really good friends, so all of our listeners know that you're lying right there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Who spent a lot of years in the military and actually trained ROK, the Republic of Korea, and they have an excellent military, but North Korea just has the massive amounts of numbers. So, if that happens, if Iran and Israel go, that could be a linchpin. That or the finger that the first hole in the dam, that could get scary pretty quick. And now that puts us, honestly, based on what both of them said, Netanyahu and President Obama, we're down to a 1-year timeline for something to happen with Iran.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing is, if Iran and Israel go, if Israel goes to Iran, which I think they will, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's inevitable. Because Iran's not going to stop developing this weapon. Israel's going to have to take action. They will take action. So I believe now it becomes even more important for China to put pressure on North Korea. And look, Russia, I don't believe they're going to put a lot of pressure on North Korea. But China, I think, will. Do you think China remembers how much we did for them and our volunteers did for them in World War II?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they care, because they're making a lot of money now and they own all of our debt. So I think at this point, it doesn't care. I honestly think now, I think China may step away from North Korea. I really do. I think they're starting to see the writing on the wall. But that also scares me, because that shows you how unpredictable North Korea is. They were a strong supporter of North Korea, and they really kind of protected them for a long time and gave them a lot of stuff. And now they're kind of saying, we may go a little more hands-off. They've spoke to us about not using such insightful rhetoric against them and all that. But that just says to me that they don't know what, and I've said this before, what Kim Jong-il is capable of.
This is one of those mentally unstable people that shouldn't have a gun.
Yeah, essentially it. And
he should not have an army.
And even China, the most liberal gun control person on the block, is saying, yeah, we need to back off. I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't want to be involved just in case they do it. So I think China would stay out of the North Korea side of it, absolutely, at this point.
Do you think they would take affirmative action to prevent a war from kicking off in that area?
They might. They may step up to keep the region stable, because it would benefit them, if you think about it.
Of course it does.
And I think that they might actually step in to kind of help South Korea. And that's my opinion. I don't know.
I don't think it'd be so much to help South Korea. I think it would prevent North
Korea. Their
Korea
action would help South Korea, but it would prevent North Korea from going just way out on their own. So I think that they, again, kind of like Egypt was, I think they're kind of the necessary evil in that part of Asia right now. I think they keep that stable.
I agree. I think that it's going to be real interesting to see what China thinks. I don't think China wants a war in that region. Look, I think if we've talked about this before, if you have Korea go and China steps in on behalf of North Korea because they feel they have to, and what would Russia do? Now you have Israel pulled in with Iran. I think that can obviously be a spark that kicks off. And where does the U.S. Send its resources? Obviously, we already have troops in South Korea, so do we go there first and we let Israel hang? Do we go both places? I don't know. I think it's potentially very troubling, but I do think Israel is going to take take on Iran. We only have a few minutes left. I want to talk about Reid dropping the assault weapons language.
That's kind of not a shock, and I'll tell you why. He's making it hard on himself in a way, but making it easy otherwise. He's dropping the assault weapon portion that Feinstein pushed forward. You remember Diane Frankenstein? We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
And the whole reason he's doing it is he pretty much said that he doesn't believe he'd have enough support from the GOP to even get the debate going with the assault weapons ban in place. So they removed that from the next bill.
But Diane Feinstein said that she's going to put it in as an amendment anyways.
Right, as an amendment, but they're going to try to get the regular bill passed and then try to pass it afterwards. I'll tell you, it probably won't. It won't. The bill that they're going to put through may actually pass because the Senate, because it all has to do with background checks, and stuff that people don't really think are necessarily a quote unquote bad thing. I think people don't look into it, so they're like, oh, background checks, that makes sense. It doesn't tell you the
scope. It doesn't cost money or anything like that.
It doesn't cost money or, it doesn't go so far into letting the government know who has what guns or whatever.
Right.
But I think they can sneak it through, and then they'll probably hold off as long as they can, and then push it through just before 2014, and that way a lot of the representatives that are quote-unquote conservatives but come from liberal areas can really start to maybe support it to get reelected. Hey, I think this is a great idea. We do need more. So we're going to support it because I want to get reelected in 2014, so I'm going to vote for this and pass. They're going to time it that way, and then if the libs can take both the House and the Senate after 2014, Feinstein will dump the assault weapons ban, and it'll go right through. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I think it's all a matter of timing. I think this is, they're going, he's saying, I don't want to do this, and Dianne Feinstein said, I'm really upset that, he didn't put it through in this bill. BS, it's all orchestrated. It's kind of like healthcare was. They knew exactly what they were doing. They have it drafted, ready to go. It's just a matter of being tactical with when they pass it, how they pass it, where they send it through.
And that's why these upcoming midterm elections are so important, especially with the legislation that's out there right now. And this gun legislation that's out there right now. Look, have you seen some of these towns that have passed these symbolic ordinances where if you're the head of household, you shall own a gun?
Yeah.
For personal protection?
Yeah.
I think that's
awesome.
Amazing. But they do exempt people that have some kind of moral aversion to owning firearms, or if you're incapacitated or a felon. They have those in there. But I think that's just an outstanding look. If the government, we've talked about this at healthcare, if the government can force you to purchase healthcare and an individual mandate because it's a tax, right?
Yeah.
Right. All of our liberal
you
friends
have
out
to
there,
agree with that. That's exactly how it was put through.
That's how it was put through. Then why can't, if the Republicans take the House and Senate and the presidency, why can there not be a conservative bill put through that mandates you have to own a gun for personal defense or defense of your country if need be, defense of your liberties, and if you don't, then there will be a tax, a penalty, which will be assessed by the IRS.
Yeah,
why not? What's the difference?
Why not, right?
Right, what's the difference? Well, because healthcare helps people and guns don't. Yes, you're right, in theory. However...
No, I think guns help people.
No, I do too. But if a gun has the ability to take a life, then so does government-run healthcare through panels and appropriating care and all this other
Stop
kind of
using logic. Stop. You're using logic to explain your point. I can't have that on this show.
It's our show.
I know. I said I can't have it. I didn't say we can't. Remember we voted earlier? We have now SHR 1s in place.
That's right. It is.
More SACHED code will be coming through as time passes.
As we think of it.
And we'll get SACO to put it up on the website so we can keep a running tab. Hey, listen, I want to throw a quick shout-out and hello to Kui Lin, who's listening to us tonight from Hong Kong, China. So
hello.
We thank you for listening this evening. I really appreciate it, and all of our other listeners. I, my friend, will see you next Friday.
Is Obama 2016 in the room tonight?
He was in earlier. He bounced out at some point.
Oh, well, hello, Obama 2016.
It must have been before you read your Huffington Post piece. So
I read it right up front to keep him in the room.
Well, maybe he just couldn't believe that it was the right show then, because we were using the Huffington Post as a reference. I'll see you next Friday.
Thank you to all our listeners out there.
Thank you to all of our listeners. Go to sackheadsradio.com to check us out. We're on Facebook /sackheadsradio. We're on Twitter @sackheads. Stay tuned for the veterans shout-outs that will be starting at the end of April. So if you know any veterans, make sure you get them the phone number. It's 877-308-1018. You know, I'll get that right next week. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Wow.
I know, it's getting late.
Thank you for your service. I want to say thank you to our men and women in uniform.
As always, thank you to our veterans.
Abroad. God bless.
God bless you all. See you next week.